Welcome to CBS Sports HQ. I'm Mandy Garrett, Chris Hassel with you here on a Tuesday. Week 9 in the NFL is done. We're on to week 10. But as mentioned, it is Tuesday. So what does that mean?
Pete Prisco's power rankings.
Love it.
And
he's just happy they're done, but we get to pick them apart.
Well, no change at the top, though. The Eagles are still number 1. The Ravens are still number 2, and Pete's pick to make the Super Bowl out of the... I'm looking over there because Pete's getting ready over there to put his mic on. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Pete's pick to win the AFC, is number 3. There were some other shakeups this week. In fact, one team moving up 11 spots thanks to a quarterback they just traded for. Who
skyrocketed?
Yeah.
Get it? Because he's like an astrophysicist
yes,
or
Josh
whatever.
Dobbs, yep. You know what? I was a little bit behind on that. A little bit slow today. A little bit slow. Here's a look. We mentioned the 1, 2, 3. Kansas City at 4. They're up 2 spots. The Bengals up 3 spots, back into the top 5 after that really sluggish start. Lions also up 3 spots to number 6. Cowboys and Dolphins each down 3 spots, 7 and 8 respectively. Fresh Takes presented by Fresh Pet. It's not dog food, it's food. We have Pete Prisco here. We have Danny Kanell here as well, who brought his own, I think, at least top 5 power
Something
rankings.
like that, yeah. And I played, Pete didn't, so mine's going to be better. That's what I've heard.
Feeling the Brady perfect.
I'm just saying.
I've never been in a you've never been in a locker room. I've been in a locker room.
Pete's been in the locker room a lot longer than either one of those guys.
That's true.
Just with a tape recorder, not with shoulder pads. All right, so we have the Eagles at number 1. Let's go to the Ravens at number 2. Let's have a discussion, because right now they're tied for the best record in the AFC with the Chiefs, who would have the tiebreaker at this point. But who is the best team in the AFC? Is it the Ravens or the Chiefs?
It's the Ravens right now. I don't think there's any question about that. And you know how I feel about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I do think they'll figure out their offense. But the Ravens are plus 115 point differential. It's by far and away the best in the league. You know, we talked all offseason about Lamar Jackson, how great he's going to be with this new look offense. It took them a while to get going. They're getting there. But nobody talked about the defense. They're historically good right now. They're pushing the 2,000 Ravens, which is the best scoring defense ever in the NFL. 11 points per game the last 3. They've been outstanding. What they did to Seattle last week was incredible. So the Ravens are better than the Chiefs right now.
I never knew you were such a trendy guy. Like, you just like the hottest trends that are out there.
That's what I think the rankings are.
All right, then I think the Ravens are very trendy right now. But if you said who do you trust more, I have to go with the Chiefs. And I think it's interesting because the Chiefs got to a slow start too. They've been figuring things out with guys dealing with injury. But at some point, I think you have to go back to the pedigree of what they've done before in the past. And the fact that they have Patrick Mahomes and multiple Super Bowl rings, and you have Lamar Jackson still looking for playoff wins, I think that has to speak for something. I love what Baltimore has done. I think Todd Monken was a fantastic hire. I think it's starting to pay dividends. I think it's great they got Mitchell in the backfield. They got some depth there. But I still look at the Chiefs and Mahomes and the defense, which is playing better too, which I give them slight edge.
The big difference there on the power rankings, the top 5 in the AFC, was the Jags. Pete, you had them second in the AFC. Danny, you've got them all the way down at 5.
Well, this is where the personal attachment comes in, because I hear that his Super Bowl pick was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
My Super Bowl pick was the Miami Dolphins. So we're both clinging on to those teams. Some of us have better case more so than most. But again, I think this has a team that's very young, that still has to figure out how to get it done. And there's no chance I'm going to go with them over the Chiefs or even the Bengals or some of these other teams that I think are just better than the Jacksonville Jaguars have been.
Jacksonville hasn't played its best football yet. That's the most amazing. They've ripped off 5 straight wins and did it on continent over there, came over here, went on the road on a Thursday night, and they haven't been good on offense yet. Not one bit. I mean, they've been limited what they do on offense. I think defensively they lead the league in takeaways. They've taken the ball away. That's helped them a great deal. So I think the best is yet to come for Jacksonville. That's why they're ahead of Miami.
Josh Allen's been spectacular. He's been awesome. But Miami's defense did hold Kansas City to just 14 points. They had also the fumble, scoop, and score, whatever you want to call it, when Tyreek Hill got the ball stripped. So I think their defense isn't too bad either.
Speaking of the Jags hosting the 49ers this upcoming weekend, 49ers moving up 2 spots in your power rankings to numbers 9 despite being on a bye. They added Chase Young, and you said, look, it's going to help them. It's not going to be enough against the Jags, though.
No, I think Jacksonville wins that game. This is a tough trip for the 49ers. You got to get on a plane.
You think they're going to lose 4 straight?
You got to get on a plane and go across country and play 10 o'clock start on a tough place, and it's probably going to be hot.
A tough place.
Even coming off
is it tough to play in Jacksonville?
When the place is packed, it is. It's a tough place to play. It's a 10 o'clock start.
Because they're getting used to that.
When you look at Jacksonville's schedule, they've actually been a lot better away from home.
They have. Well, they lost to the Texans at home and they lost to the Chiefs at home. I don't know how they lost to the Texans at home. It's one of those, what do we give them, a mulligan games? That's what that is.
Well, that's what you give out,
Yeah,
mulligans.
I think the 49ers getting Chase Young is big for them. The one thing that they haven't done is rush the passer this year. You have all those guys. You added Hargrave, you have Bosa, you have Armstead, and now you add this guy to that defensive line. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback. Jacksonville has problems rushing the passer. They only have 16 sacks. 49ers only have 18. Think about that. The 49ers, that's their whole calling card is they had the Bengals game. They got to 24-17. Get them on the ground, get the ball back, go tie it up. They didn't get him on the ground. He went right down the field.
The Jags only have how many sacks?
16.
And how many of them from Josh Allen? Nine, right? I mean, the dude is absolutely... but here's what I think is so scary about the 49ers. They can come from so many different directions. And now, if you used to turn your protection towards Bosa on the one side, you could keep a tight end over there. You could try to address that issue. That's why I think the massive opportunity comes in for Chase Young and why I think he's going to flourish and find himself in a similar situation on the defensive side of the ball that Christian McCaffrey had on the offensive side of the ball. Remember the trade deadline last year that made the big move for McCaffrey? This, I think, could be just as impactful for a defense, which we've talked about this a bunch, where the 49ers, so much attention has been on Brock Purdy and the offense, and they've had injuries, but the defense, to me, has been the bigger issue, which is why I think they made this move to try to correct some of those issues.
Jacksonville should have made this move to go get Chase Young or Danielle Hunter or Montez Sweat, but what happened was their second, third, and fourth round picks are conditionally tied to the Calvin Ridley trade, so they couldn't trade any of those picks. It was a bad move. Getting Ridley's a good move. Tying up 3 picks conditionally was a bad move.
Home field for Jacksonville, because I think you hit on something. I don't know if it's the time difference is huge. For them to go play a 1 o'clock game, it's 10 a.m. for their body clocks, because I don't think Jacksonville, it's a nice crowd or whatever, but I mean, they're looking to go to London for a reason, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons they're exploring other options, but I think that is one of the more significant advantages that they have. Well, we'll see. We'll see. No, I don't want to bet. I'm just saying they have explored it, right? They've talked about it. I think they would like better support from their fan base. It'll be nice, but I think that's one of the biggest advantages they have is San Francisco traveling. Are you worried about Purdy at all?
When he falls behind, I'm worried about him. And if you look at his numbers when he's fallen behind this year, he's been really bad.
It's not just him, it's Kyle Shanahan as a head coach. His numbers when he falls behind are not good.
He's thrown a bunch of interceptions when he's fallen behind. He was a front runner for when he first took over. Hey, we're great, everything's great. But at some point, the quarterback has to make plays, and he hasn't made them when he needs to.
I think this is the game you find out about Brock Purdy. Like, is he the answer that everybody thought he was last year, or is he a problem that you're going to have to find a solution to? I think you'll find out.
Usually you become what you are, right? You are what you are. So I'm worried about him a little bit.
You say that a lot about backup quarterbacks. You've said it about Gardner Minshew. A backup quarterback comes in and wins a game, and then you say eventually you are what you are. Let's go to the next team here in the rankings, the Minnesota Vikings. Up 11 spots to number 12 after Josh Dobbs comes in and leads them back. Why the huge jump there?
A couple of reasons. A lot of those teams around them lost, and they look terrible in doing so. Their defense has really gotten good. I mean, Brian Flores, I give him a lot of credit. He's a heck of a coach. I think he's going to be an NFL head coach again, and he probably should be an NFL head coach again. When you look at these teams, I think the Vikings are on a run here, and if you look at their schedule, it's pretty favorable going forward.
Yeah, they have the Saints, Broncos, Bears, Raiders the next 4.
I mean, they're in a great position, and look, Josh Dobbs did a heck of a job coming off the bench. He can manage things, and if the defense plays like it's playing right now, I think they'll be fine.
Usually you say you are what you are. You're not saying that with Josh Dobbs.
I don't think Josh Dobbs is the reason they're going to be good. I just think he's going to be the reason they're not going to make a ton of mistakes.
I think they're about to go. I think they're about to lose. As much as I like Josh Dobbs, they barely won against Atlanta. If it wasn't for heroics of Josh Dobbs, who brings them back with a lot of improvisational plays, defenses are going to start to prep for him. There is no way he has more than a third of the playbook by now. And I know he's an aeronautical engineer, whatever degree he was studying. I don't think he can just consume it. It's not a knock against him. It's just the fact that he's gotten there so late. He did fumble the ball 3 times. There's going to be some confusion against defenses once they're given some time. Because remember, they didn't even know they were going to face him. Jaron Hall started the game, was knocked out. I think now that he's the starter, it's almost worse for him because he's going to be expected to do more, and I just don't know how he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he's the cure to their woes of not having Kirk Cousins, but I just think that the schedule and having that defense is going to be the difference for them, and I think they're going to start winning games. They might end up being, you look around the landscape, we had to do a thing today, who's the final wild card team in the NFC? They might be it.
Doesn't that, as I was looking through your list, doesn't that speak more volumes to like how many below average teams there are in the NFL? Like it's top heavy, and then there's a bunch of like below average teams, and then there's a bunch of really bad teams.
Like Cleveland should be ahead of Minnesota, but has Deshaun Watson played to anything so far? Big game this week with Baltimore for Cleveland too.
Another big game for the Titans coming up. They lost against the Steelers, and they're playing the Bucs. And here's the thing about going into this game. Mike Vrabel has yet to name a starting quarterback, if it's going to be Ryan Tannehill or Will Levis, one of 7 rookie quarterbacks who started this past week. And you say they just need to go with Levis.
Well, just get on with it. I mean, what's the point in playing Tannehill? He's not very good to begin with, and he's not going to be your long-term answer. Will Levis is. And I think they've done Will Levis a disservice, too, by the way. Not giving him credit, not making him the starter. And then when you get on third down inside the red zone at the end of the half, you run the ball. They were so predictable, and they only threw when they had to throw. That's the Mike Vrabel way. That's what he wants. He thinks he's got this dominant defense in this run game, and he can win that way. No, you can't. Throw it around. I think he should be the quarterback, and this is a great opportunity for him to play quarterback and throw the ball down the field, because Tampa Bay's defense, we saw what happened with C.J. Stroud last week. They've been terrible on the defensive side of the ball.
But you know, a coach's mindset always goes, I'm going to give us the quarterback that gives us the best chance to win. That's very debatable, and I would hear you if you said, you know what, Ryan Tannehill. Here's what I think they should do. I think they should give Will Levis the look. I don't think he's the answer, but if the season is already coming off the rails and you can't make the playoffs, then you go ahead and find out if Will Levis is your future, because there's so much talent out there.
You don't think he's the answer?
I don't think he's the answer.
Wow.
Not for 10. I think he's a Kenny Pickett. You know, like, is he the answer in Steelers?
No,
I think he can kind of drag you along a little bit.
This is Pete's favorite quarterback prospect.
I am aware of that. I mean, he would have taken him #1 overall, too.
Well, you know who went #1 overall? The guy who threw 2 pick sixes last week. He's been awful. Has anybody said anything about that?
You have.
Will Levis is better than Bryce Young.
Off of one game.
He's playing better than Bryce Young.
All right,
now. Bryce Young has been awful.
Some of it has to do with your surroundings. Carolina's offensive line has been pathetick. He's in a better situation. He's in a better situation than Carolina.
No, Tennessee's offensive line is awful. It's terrible. Did you see him? He was getting brutalized last week.
I think all of the rookies are having a really hard time, because I think what Bryce Young is doing is normal. I think what Will Levis is doing is normal. What C.J. Stroud is doing is not normal. And that's making the bar for all these other quarterbacks just that much higher and that much harder in the scrutiny that they're coming under. Can I ask Amanda a question? Can we, like, turn the tables?
Sure.
Does Mike Vrabel like Will Levis? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out.
No.
And it sure doesn't look like it. It wasn't look like it was his guy. They already had a quarterback they drafted the year before. I think he likes Ryan Tannehill, and that's why I do think they might go to Tannehill and say he gives us the best chance to win.
Ugh.
There was a lot of conversation about that when you saw the exchange with him going into the locker room after. I did ask him at halftime. I said, you know, how impressed are you with him so far? And he said he's doing what a quarterback should be doing. And then he did add one caveat, saying that he was very composed and he was impressed with that.
But he also, like the other day, the throw to, he blamed him for the throw to Spears. Come on. Seriously? It wasn't a great throw.
I think even if it was, you don't throw your rookie quarterback under the bus.
Okay, it wasn't a great throw. He should have thrown it to the pylon, but Spears tripped over himself. He should have caught it.
Even if it was a pick six going the other way and he made the wrong read, you don't throw your rookie quarterback under the bus.
Bad luck for Vrabel.
I think it's bad luck, too. Next time you have the sideline interview, ask him, say, do you like Will Levis? Just ask him.
But let's see how that would go over very well. Very well in anyone from the Belichick tree.
I would love to ask him. Let me ask him.
You would.
I would
you
ask
would
him.
do that.
All right, Pete, you're off. Danny's going to come back as we transition to college football in just a moment.
Some of us got to work.
This week on CBS, really interesting early game. Texans at Bengals. C.J. Stroud coming off that rookie record performance at the red-hot Bengals and Joe Burrow. And then at 4:05 Eastern, if you don't get an early game, you'll have Lions at Chargers.